Come closer, my friends. Sit where the evening wind can touch your face, and let your heart be still. The story I tell today is not about kings or spirits in the forest. It is about a home where two fires once burned. One fire gave warmth, the other burned everything it touched. This is the story of Chike, his mother's love and his father's shadow. The hearth fire. In a small town where the dust danced in the evening sun, there was a compound that knew pure joy. This was where Chike lived with his little sister Ada and his parents. His father, Papa Emeka, was a giant. Not a scary giant, but the kind whose shoulders were a throne for a young prince. When Papa Emeka laughed, it was a deep, rumbling sound that started in his belly and made the windows vibrate. It was the sound of safety. His mother, Mama Nneka, was the heart of the home. Her voice was a soft lullaby. Her hands, though strong, were always gentle. She was a magician with beans. Every evening, the rhythmic gboo, gboo, gboo sound of her grinding stones was the family's drumbeat. She would make akara, the most delicious in the whole town, and the smell of frying beans and pepper would wrap around their home like a warm blanket. Chike remembered the rituals of happiness. He remembered how Papa Emeka, returning from his job at the textile factory, would swing him high in the air. "My strong son!" he would boom. He would then pick up Ada, making her giggle until she could barely breathe. He remembered how his father would sit on a low stool in the courtyard, and Chike would sit between his feet, feeling the solid wall of his back. Papa Emeka would tell stories of Clever Tortoise, his voice changing for each character. Best of all, Chike remembered the nights when Papa Emeka would roll up his sleeves. He would take over the grinding from Mama Nneka, his powerful arms making the work look easy. He would tease her. "Woman, your akara is so good, it will make me the richest man in the world, just from the happiness it brings." Mama Nneka would smile, a quiet, proud smile that made her eyes sparkle. She would playfully swat him with her wrapper. "Go on with you, man of mine." Their home was like a fine, strong calabash, carved by love and filled to the brim with laughter, stories, and the scent of good food. It was a perfect, complete world. But a single crack can make a calabash useless, cutting off abruptly. Ominous silence. The trouble began with a silence. The textile factory where Papa Emeka worked shut down. He came home one afternoon, not with his usual booming greeting, but quietly. His shoulders, once so straight and proud, were slumped. For the first few weeks, he tried. He would go out early, to look for something, he'd say. But every evening he returned, the hope in his eyes fading day by day, like a fire running out of wood. The happy thunder of his laugh was replaced by a new sound, the clink of a bottle. It started as one bottle on a Friday, then two. Then it was no longer just on Fridays. The bitter, sweet smell of palm wine began to cling to his clothes, to his breath, to the very walls of their home. The man who returned from drinking was not Papa Emeka. It was a shadow, a stranger with his father's face, but with empty, bloodshot eyes. The first time it happened, Chike was playing with Ada. Papa Emeka stumbled in, demanding dinner. Mama Nneka gently said the food was still cooking. The stranger roared. He swept his arm across the table, sending plates crashing to the floor. Am I not the head of this house? Do I not get respect? Mama Nneka rushed to shield the children. Emeka, please, the children! But the stranger's hand, the same hand that had once lifted Chike so high, swung through the air. It connected with Mama Nneka's cheek with a sound Chike would never forget. A sharp, wet slap that killed the last of the sunlight in their home. A silence fell, heavier than any sound. Ada began to cry. Chike stood frozen, his small world shattering into a million sharp pieces. The crack in the calabash had become a break. The burden and the theft. The seasons changed, but the winter in their home remained. Mama Nneka became something more than a mother. She became a fortress. While the stranger slept off his drink, she would rise in the dark, long before the first cockcrow. Chike would often wake up and see the faint glow of her kerosene lamp from the backyard. He would hear the boo-boo-boo of her grinding, slower now, more tired, but never stopping. She would fry her akara, the smoke stinging her kind eyes. She sold from a small stall by the roadside, her voice now hoarse as she called out, "Akara!" Fresh akara. She carried the entire weight of the family on her slender shoulders. She paid the rent, she bought the food, and most importantly, she saved every spare naira in a small metal box hidden under a loose floorboard. The box for Chike and Ada's school fees. But the stranger had a nose for hope. He would find the money. Chike would hear the arguments, now spoken in harsh whispers at night, thinking the children were asleep. Emeka, I beg you, that is for the children's books. That is for their future. Woman, give me the money. Are you the man of this house? I have stress. You don't know what I am going through. Then would come the sound of a struggle, a muffled cry, and the dreaded sound of the front door slamming as he left to feed the bitter spirit in the bottle. One afternoon, Chike saw it happen. He came home from school and saw his father on his knees, prying up the loose floorboard. He pulled out the metal box, his hands shaking, not from regret, but from need. Papa, no! The words were out of Chike's mouth before he could stop them. Papa Emeka turned. His eyes were wild. You small rat! You have been spying on me! He stood up, towering over Chike, the box clutched in his hand. Do you question your father? I can scatter your bones to the wind if I want. He raised his hand and Chike flinched, closing his eyes, waiting for the blow. It didn't come. He opened his eyes to see his mother standing between them, her body a shield. She said nothing, just stared at Papa Emeka with a look of such profound sadness that it was worse than any anger. The stranger faltered for a moment, then shoved past her and stumbled out of the house. Chike ran to his mother, burying his face in her wrapper. She smelled of smoke, oil, and sweat. She smelled of sacrifice. He felt her hand, rough and calloused, gently stroking his head. My son, she whispered, her voice trembling but strong. Do not become like him. Anger is a fire that burns the one who holds it first. But Chike was already burning. A new fire had been lit in his heart. It was not a warm hearth fire. It was a dark, simmering fire of hate. He hated the smell of palm wine. He hated the sound of stumbling footsteps. He hated the sight of the man who was his father. Every stolen naira was a log thrown on that fire. Every tear he wiped from Ada's face was a gust of wind. Every bruise he saw on his mother's arm made the flames burn hotter. He made a promise to himself, whispering it into his pillow at night. I will never be like you. I will be better. I will save her. The breaking point and the exodus. Years passed. Chike grew tall and quiet. The boy who once laughed easily was now a young man who carried a storm in his eyes. He studied by the light of a kerosene lamp, not just to learn, but as a weapon. Education was his ticket out, his way to rescue his mother and sister. The situation at home was a tight knot, pulling tighter and tighter. One evening, the knot snapped. Papa Emeka, in a drunken rage, demanded money for something important. Mama Nneka, for the first time, stood her ground completely. The school fees were due the next day. I will not give it to you, Emeka, she said, her voice clear and steady. This is for your children. You have stolen their past. You will not steal their future. The words enraged him. He lunged at her. But this time, Chike was no longer a little boy. He was 16, and the fire of hate in him exploded. He moved faster than he thought possible, stepping between his parents. He caught his father's wrist, mid-air. The two stood there, frozen, father and son. The drunk giant and the angry young man. The air was thick with unsaid things. Touch her again, Chike said, his voice low and dangerous, a growl they had never heard before. And I will break your hand. The shock in Papa Emeka's bloodshot eyes was real. The authority he had built on fear had crumbled. He stared at his son, at the pure, undiluted hatred in his eyes, and for a moment he seemed to sober up. He saw a mirror of his own failure. He yanked his hand away, muttering curses, and shuffled out into the night, a broken, pathetic figure. The house was silent. Ada was crying. Mama Nneka looked at Chike, not with gratitude, but with a deep, weary fear. She saw the fire in him and it terrified her. That was the last night they spent under that roof. The next day, after selling her akara, Mama Nneka used the school fee money for something else. She bought 3 bus tickets to a distant city where her older sister lived. It was the most difficult, most courageous decision of her life. They left with 1 small bag each. They left the grinding stones, the broken plates, the memories. They left the stranger. As the bus pulled away, Chike looked out the window. He saw his father stumbling back towards the empty house, unaware that the world he had broken had finally chosen to leave him behind. Chike felt no sadness, only the cold, hard satisfaction of the fire in his heart.
The 2 seeds. Life in the new city was hard, but it was a different kind of hard. It was the hard work of building, not the hard suffering of decay.
Mama Nika started a new akara business. Chike worked part-time jobs while studying with a ferocious focus. Ada began to smile again, a real smile, not the frightened little twitch she had developed. Chike became a success. He graduated with top honors and got a good job in a big office. The first thing he did was build a beautiful modern house for his mother. He carried her over the threshold, just as he had promised himself he would. She no longer had to bend over a smoky fire. Her hands, though forever calloused, could now rest. He had broken the cycle. He had won, but the fire of hate was still burning inside him. It had kept him warm and driven him for so long he didn't know how to put it out. He was successful, but he was hard. He was kind to his family, but he trusted no one else. The shadow of his father still lived within him, and then, one day, the shadow appeared at his door. Papa Emeka was old. The giant had shrunk. His clothes were dirty and hung loose on his frame. His hands, which had once delivered blows, now trembled uncontrollably. The smell of poverty and regret clung to him, stronger than any palm wine. "Chike," the old man whispered, his voice a dry rustle. "My son, I have heard of your success. I am sorry. Forgive me." All the years of hatred boiled up inside Chike. The fire roared, demanding to be fed. He wanted to scream. He wanted to list every stolen naira, every tear, every bruise. He wanted to slam the door in this broken man's face and let him die in the gutter as he deserved. He stood there, trembling with rage, unable to speak. Mama Nika came and stood beside him. She didn't look at the man at the door. She looked at her son. She saw the torment in his eyes. She gently took his clenched fist and opened his stiff fingers. In his palm, she placed 2 small, dry seeds. "My son," she said, her voice as soft as it had always been. "Look at you. You have carried this heavy load for so long." She pointed to the first seed. "This is the seed your father planted in your heart, the seed of anger. You let it grow. It became a strong, thorny tree. It gave you shade from the pain. Its thorns protected you. It even gave you the fuel to achieve great things. But, my child, look at it now. Its roots are choking you. Its thorns keep out love. Its shade prevents new joy from growing in your heart." She then touched the second seed. This is a different seed. It is the seed of forgiveness. It does not mean what he did was right. It does not mean you have to let him back into your life. It means you choose to let go of the poison inside you. You plant this seed not for him, but for you, so you can finally be free, so your own heart can know peace, and your own children will never taste the bitterness you have carried. Chike looked from the seeds in his hand to his mother's wise, loving face, and then to the broken, pitiful man at his gate. The tears he had never allowed himself to cry finally came. They were tears of rage, of sadness for the stolen childhood, for his mother's suffering. But as they fell, he felt the fire inside him begin to sputter and die. He did not invite his father in. He did not embrace him. That bridge was too burned to cross. But he turned to the old man and simply said, "Go in peace." Then he closed the door. He held the second seed tight in his hand. He walked out into the garden of his new, beautiful home, got down on his knees, and dug a small hole in the rich, dark earth. He placed the seed of forgiveness inside and covered it with soil. He was finally planting a new future, and for the first time in years, he felt peace. The moral of the story: a child who is taught violence learns to break. A child who witnesses theft learns to take. But a child who grows up seeing resilience, like a mighty tree that bends in the storm but never breaks, learns to stand tall. The cycle of pain is not destiny. It is a choice. You are not defined by the wounds you receive, but by the healing you choose to give. You carry the power to plant a new seed, to tell a new story for your life. Break the cycle. Choose forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself. Choose peace, and let your life become a garden of light and healing, not a battlefield of old hurts. And remember, my friends, there are two fires in every home: the fire that destroys and the fire that warms. May you always keep the fire that gives light, not the one that burns. This is where the story ends, but the lesson never ends. If you love cautionary folk tales with timeless lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.